In this video, I would like to talk a little bit about how you could use the layers to organize your scene so that, for example, elements you don't need anymore or modeling steps you can put on a layer, as well as, for example, having design alternatives on individual layers so that you could quickly, by turning elements on and off, switch through different design ideas. As you can see, layer 1, I have this bike design, and on the layer below, there are all the different elements I looked into for how to build, for example, the handlebar, and also here I have all the different stages of my main frame design. For example, here I have a second idea for a bike, and then on those two layers I have, for example, different ideas or compositions for the back wheel spokes and that electric engine, for example, like different size studies. Now let's say I would like this handlebar to be back into my main scene. So I can maybe move it to layer 1. So I press M and then click the layer. And now I have to move this fork to where this fork with the handlebar is. There are two ways how to do this. You noticed both objects are basically clones of each other, so they all have exactly the same center point or object center. That's very important that when you make kind of like design variations, you don't move this point. So I could go ahead and, for example, move this one to there, but I should not maybe do this because then the axis points are off. So let me undo this. So I could either use snapping. This means I position my cursor to my selected object. So I snap my 3D cursor to the object origin point. Then I can select my other handlebar and say Shift S and then say snap selected to the position where my cursor is. And then you see that there's now my other handlebar, including the fork, moved to that position. And another approach would be copying, pasting, for example, the position location. So I press N to open my property panel so I can see the transformation information, for example, for location. And now the click order is important. And I'm creating a second one so you can understand how this works. So I can select those two first. You see that the last one I selected is highlighted slightly different. It's more bright. The bright is always your active object. And now I select my last handlebar and fork. So you see that those two have the same color and then this one is highlighted. So those are actually the selected objects and this is my active object. And if I go to transform, go to location, I can also go to rotation or scale and then press my right mouse button. There is copy to selected. So what copy to selected basically means, it says this object I have selected at the end, which is my active object, copy this location information to those I have selected before. So let's do this. Copy to. And then you see that all the different or the two frames are actually moved over exactly to where the original handlebar is. And for example, let's do the same for the rotation. So you see the rotation here is off. I could select, shift select then my target frame, go to rotation and say copy to selected. And then it also copies the rotation information over.